Hello and welcome to Raj Sabha Television. I am Akhilesh Suman and you are watching Agenda 2014. Through this special program at the time of election, we want to draw your attention at some important national and international issues.
ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मैन्युफैक्चरिंग चीन में होता है, आने वाले समय में हिंदुस्तान में होगा।
तीन बातों को मूलभूत रूप से जोड़ना चाहिए। एक स्किल, दूसरा स्केल और तीसरा स्पीड।
In this episode of Agenda 2014, I want to draw your attention towards a particular aspect of our relationship with China. China is our strategic partner. China is our neighbor. But is everything alright between India and China? Is China behaving in a properly friendly manner with us? What is the impact of dumping of cheap goods from China in Indian market? What is the impact on Indian industries and its impact on our employment opportunity? Let's see whether it is manipulated or it is eventual.
Ultimately, this is what it boils down to: equipment. Outdated, rusting, run down, much of it even unusable now. Hundreds of small and medium factories in Mumbai have been shut down for lack of profitability and business sense to carry on. Most have shifted from manufacture to trade to stay afloat.
There are cases where industry has substantially closed down, like people in balloon industry and as a small scale, they have almost closed down.
If you see the track record, most of the cases of dumping, they originate from China.
The biggest reason is almost obvious: the China factor. Chinese goods flooding the Indian market have hit manufacturing industries and hard. They pour into the country legally or illegally. And they cater to just about every aspect of life: day-to-day entertainment, communication, to childhood, industry and even religion. See in this list all that's needed by the household to the science lab to the manufacturing plant, available at nearly half the price.
They start undercoating Indian producers. The Indian producer in the beginning will reduce the price. The Chinese will further reduce the price to get the volumes. Eventually it leads to a sort of what you can call as a price war.
What makes these products unwelcome to the Indian manufacturer is the fact that they came in bypassing Indian import laws and have robbed him of his livelihood. The word used is dumping, sold in the Indian market at a price less than the cost of their production.
The production of chemical materials in India are also getting affected due to dumping from China. The plant that you are seeing behind me is also one of the prominent chemical production plants in Asia, but now they are facing challenges in Navi Mumbai.
We're at Nosil Limited, a subsidiary of the Arvind Mafatlal Group. Time was when Nosil ranked among the world's major chemical manufacturers. Today, China-made products are well on the way to taking over markets that Nosil once dominated.
Once the Chinese come in, they have the ability to kind of push out the domestic industry in such an effective way through their pricing, through their huge volumes and capacities that they have at their disposal.
Just how much truth is there in complaints of this onslaught of Chinese products in the Indian market? And of the capabilities that our manufacturing plants claim? Even against confidentiality norms, the company allowed us to look at their manufacturing plant, output quality checks, the functioning and challenges. and our assessment, a level of proficiency, streamlined procedure and quality control that would enable this plant to compete with the best in the world. Safety standards and pollution norms were closely adhered to. And yet what reigns here is not confidence but insecurity, in the knowledge that standing up to dumping from the Chinese manufacturer is close to impossible.
So it is becoming extremely difficult for chemical industry to kind of survive in a segment where the Chinese are also present.
NoSil's products meet requirements of both Indian and international markets. Quality-wise, they compete with the best in the world. Nearly 10 years back, NoSil began to notice a sharp fall in demand. Sales began to nosedive. The reasons were not difficult to find. The decline coincided with a rapid infiltration of Chinese-manufactured counterparts into the Indian market.
Chinese producers have also kind of created surrogate relations with some of the Korean producers in our business.
By 2005, not just NoSil, several Indian industries began staring at unrealistic pricing competition from China-manufactured products that began to flood the Indian market. It reached a point where 75% of the domestic market in chemical products has been captured by the outsider. Amid the homegrown giants, a demotivating frustration has taken over.
There was a time when trade unions were held responsible for closure of our industries, but the whole scrap that you are seeing around here, it is not because of the trade union, but it is closed because of the dumping from China. Now it is time for a break. We will come again with another issue on China. Welcome back to Raj Sabha TV. I am Akhilesh Suman and you are watching Agenda 2014, a special program against dumping from China. On this conveyor belt, you are seeing many components in the same chemical. And if you add the price of all the chemicals, Chinese goods are coming even below the price. Everyone is amazed, what is this? Either this is manipulation or is a miracle, because it defies all norms of economics.
Beyond the chemical product manufacturers to other industries, the issue extends deep and wide. Tire manufacturers who at one time ruled the roost in the global market have been hit too. We looked at one of their plants. Seat, originally an Italian tire manufacturer, was acquired by the RPG Group in 1982. High quality standards, deliverability of the product fast made it one of Asia's biggest companies.
We do a fair amount of exports as well. So we export to about 110 countries around the world, amounting to about nearly 180 to 200 million dollars every year of exports. And we supply to a large number of OEMs. So from Tata Motors and Mahindra, Maruti.
The onslaught of Chinese tire manufacturers into the Indian market hit Seat too. The 5,000 crore behemoth started to slide into losses, a wake-up call for other tire manufacturers in India too. The All India Tire Manufacturing Association, an umbrella body, petitioned the government. Imposition of anti-dumping duties against Chinese companies provided some relief, but things are far from under control yet. With reports of tire manufacturers not utilizing full capacity despite the claims.
We are suffering. We are not able to use our capacities to the fullest and make tires and sell tires.
SEAT's manufacturing plant reflects the high standards that make the company the biggest tyre producer in India. It's a fully automated, high-technology facility.
The total size of the tire industry is about 46,000 crores, that's about 8 billion US dollars. It's dominated by about 30 plus total tire manufacturers, but about 10 tire companies account for about 95% of the industry size.
But despite these figures, SEAT faces competition that's nearly impossible to stand up to. Prices of China-made counterparts remain insanely lower even after paying anti-dumping duties.
We employ about 10 lakh rubber growers we support 10 lakh rubber growers in the industry. We have about 6,000 dealers who sell tires. We are a highly manpower intensive industry, and therefore all such employment to the economy would certainly get affected.
After much brainstorming, an alternative has emerged, an entry into the specialized tyre segment. Almost all Indian companies have left the small tyre segment behind.
Rubber industry is not just tires. From birth to death, we need rubber in different forms and formats. But thanks to dumping from China and our wrong taxation policy, our rubber industries are dying a sudden death. Let us see what is the condition of one such rubber industry.
The dumping phenomenon applies not just to the larger industries. The small and medium scale sector has been hit too. We went to a small scale manufacturer on the outskirts of Mumbai to feel the dumping onslaught there. Not the big scale manufacturer and employer, this engineering goods maker makes minor auto parts and even reaches into the construction industry. For him too, demand dwindles. It's getting difficult to stay afloat. For them, the problem is different, quite the opposite of what large-scale manufacturers face.
बेसिक रॉ मटेरियल जब हम लोग फिनिश गुड्स बनाते हैं, बना बनाया भी आता है, मगर वो एग्जैक्टली यूज़ नहीं हो पाता, इसीलिए चल नहीं पा रहा है, इसीलिए अपन सर्वाइव है.
For them, cost price of raw material from China is so expensive, it fails to make business sense. The intention is to stop the smaller companies from producing these products completely. Interestingly, it's cheaper for them to buy from Germany. Work conditions in these smaller units, as you can see, are tough. A breathing mask is a lifesaver. Work goes on here more as a show of defiance to Chinese plants, a show of being able to take on the challenge despite the odds. We're at Dahanu, 150 kilometers from Mumbai, a center of the balloon manufacturing industry. It's a simple enough procedure that has taken on new dimensions. It's an interesting, almost poetry-tinted art. Every stage has a strong human role. Strength and hygiene are the focus. which results in cost escalations too.
ट्राइबल पॉपुलेशन को हम लोग एम्प्लॉय करते हैं, तो उनकी जो जीवन शैली के हिसाब से लॉस थोड़े फॉर्मुलेशन होने चाहिए.
But not for these China-made counterparts. Hygiene and quality don't mean much with them. They were banned in Vadodara city till recently for just these concerns. They actually reach India as packaging material for electronic goods sold to Indian traders at throwaway prices. The unfair trade practices are glaring, but voices of protest from balloon manufacturers have gone largely unheard.
समस्या ये है कि जो चाइना के जो चीप प्रोडक्ट्स जो हैं सस्ते दामों पे हमारे यहाँ डंप किए जा रहे हैं, और सिंस हमने एंटी डंपिंग पॉलिसी के लिए भी हमने गवर्नमेंट में प्रोसीड किया था.
Government machinery has to be very, very sensitive to such cases and cut down on the delays. Generally, it has been seen that there is a long time involved between filing of a case and its final findings. At times, it can even take 1.5 to 2 years. That defeats the purpose of initiating, action against the dumping cases.
The situation calls for introspection and urgently. This is a sector that employs a huge number of people and a downfall will be catastrophic. Care and countering and revival are called for.
It was difficult to roam around in these villages earlier in the daytime even. But after the manufacturing industries have come up, their fortune have changed and you will hardly find any male person in this village. But if the threat of Chinese dumping persists, the whole area will again come in violent mode. Now it is time for a break. Keep watching Rajya Sabha Television. Welcome back after the break. I am Akhilesh Suman and you are watching our special program Agenda 2014. Our concern is that our economy should not burst like big balloons. We have to make a special arrangement to safeguard our industry as well as giving rational prices to our consumers.
But even as we put up a strong argument against China-made goods flooding the Indian market, there is a definite counterpoint. They are cheap, the consumer is happy with them, the finish is mostly excellent. They're mass-produced and aggressively marketed. The supply chain attracts Indian traders. What comes out is the counter-argument that a ban or higher duty on Chinese goods actually hurts the consumer.
इंपोर्ट करना कोई एंटी नेशनल एक्टिविटी नहीं है, ये व्यापारिक एक्टिविटी है. लेकिन जिस तरह से इसे एंटी डंपिंग ड्यूटी को ये बताया जाता है जैसे हमारे यहाँ के इनएफिशिएंसी जो है हमारी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में है, जो लूटपाट है उसको प्रोटेक्शन के लिए एक आड़ दे दी गई है.
Traders allege the protests in India arise from a greed for profits and an unscrupulous showing of inflated costs. China, they say, is merely an excuse.
एंटी डंपिंग जिस नीयत से जिस तरीके से सरकार ने जिस रिलीजियस तरीके से सरकार ने लगाई थी, शुरू किया था सिस्टम, उसका हमारी इंडस्ट्री अपनी इनएफिशिएंसी छपाने के लिए, अपनी प्रॉफिटीरिंग करने के लिए गैर बेजा इस्तेमाल कर रही है.
So does that mean Indian industrialists are wary of competition, or do objective conditions in India prevent them from producing products at a lower cost? Some say the issue boils down to the fact that Indian industries under a democratic setup face many more obligations than Chinese ones do. But realities are different. Industries in a non-market economy like China are highly pampered with direct and indirect subsidies in terms of infrastructure and financing facilities. That's why their product cost is so low and they dump it even at a rate below the production cost. Their violating the spirit of fair international competition has drawn protest from several nations affected by China's low-cost onslaught that has hit industry worldwide. China also uses strong-arm tactics to ensure that there is no stop in supply. This is against the spirit of fair competition, and so many of the industries in India and the world have just shut down. In addition to this, China also strategizes to continue its supply to the affected countries. This it does by showing lower prices during customs checks and pushing in goods via a third country by showing them as non-Chinese. There's a heavy tax on export of raw material which works to China's advantage. China also provides an array of export facilities for its own goods. India needs to do whatever is possible to rescue industry from the onslaught, given the global economic scenario. Incentive and stimuli to be able to produce at low costs and take on China have to be tried. Under the present import tax rules, there's a small 6% tax on finished goods and a much higher 20 to 25% tax on import of raw material. Watchers suggest an inversion of taxes on imports between raw materials and finished goods.
Because of this inverted duty structure, what is happening is the Indian entrepreneurs who are from the MSME sector are closing down business because it is more economically viable to become an importer than continue being a manufacturer.
There are measures at last. Anti-dumping and safeguarding measures against products sneaking into India to capture the market have picked up, with politicians using this as a tool to win support. Even then, more than 300 such petitions are pending with the Commerce and Finance Ministries. Allegations persist on the government being slow to take action and even ignoring the small and medium-scale sectors.
ट्रांसपेरेंसी नहीं है कि एक छोटी इंडस्ट्री गवर्नमेंट का गैजेट रोज़ देखती है, तो हमें मौका नहीं दिया गया कि हम हमारी समस्या को रिप्रेजेंट कर सकें.
Though no political party ignores the importance of a homegrown manufacturing sector, some of them feel only anti-dumping measures are not enough. Parties claim they are focused hugely on strengthening local industry to take on dumping measures.
छोटे और मीडियम उद्योग के लिए काफ़ी सहूलतें हमने दी है, उनको काफ़ी सब्सिडी भी दी है, और उसके लिए MIDC के अलग अलग MIDC स्टेट भी बना रहे, और उनमें हम उत्पादन किस तरह से करना चाहिए उसका मार्गदर्शन भी हम लोग कर रहे हैं.
The opposition promises other measures to energize the sector if elected to power. The Shiv Sena says not enough has been done to stem the dumping activity by China. The party even calls the phenomenon a proxy war against India.
Forget everything else. Our Rakhi, Raksha, which a sister ties to brother's hand on the coconut day, even that, Raksha Bandhan day, even that has started coming from China. I think it is an aggression, invasion of Indian democracy.
Some call it a question of perspective. Overproduction by China is an issue that has scared markets around the globe, but there's no ignoring the manufacturing revolution China has achieved. Alternative and choice has empowered the consumer, though the manufacturer has been hit. Priorities are under the spotlight.
हमारे देश में हमारी इंडस्ट्री के बहुत सारे सेगमेंट इसमें हैं, चाहे ऑटोमोबाइल है, चाहे वो ऑटोमोटिव टायर हैं, चाहे खिलौने हैं, बहुत सारी चीज़ें ऐसी बनती हैं जो यहाँ दुगने तिगने दामों में बिक रही हैं, जो 1/3 दाम में बन सकती हैं.
Creating a balance between consumer expectation and industrial health, that's where the issue lies. 75% of our exports depend on the manufacturing sector, yet outside of defense and petroleum, most of our other imports come from China. This over-dependence is cause for concern. Alarm bells ring louder and louder.
That's all from Akhilesh, Suman in this program. We will meet again. Keep watching Raj Sabha Television.